Ksoo might be the biggest crash out in the history of the rap game, and today we're breaking down how he got cooked in his trial and will never be coming home again. The opening statement started with the prosecutor breaking down the war in Jacksonville for the jury.
6 Block and ATK are rivals. They don't like each other. They hate each other. And one of the traditions of both groups is producing rap music, drill rap, diss songs that make fun of or talk disrespectfully about members of their ops, the other group.
Drill fans know that Young and Ace and Foolio went to war and tore up the streets, but the lawyer broke it down piece by piece and told him that Ksoo murdered Lil Buck for getback. 1 year after Ksoo's brother boss Goon got killed, Ksoo and his cousin Gotti went sliding on the ops on the anniversary of Ksoo's brother's death. That's when they spotted Lil Buck. When Lil Buck went to his whip, Ksoo popped out and shot him till he fell down. Then, while Lil Buck was bleeding on the pavement, Ksoo stood over him and shot Lil Buck in the head. And to make sure the jury knew how brutal the situation really was, the prosecutor described how Lil Buck's teeth and brains were splattered all over the parking lot.
Slashing open his flesh. Hot metal ripping through his muscles. Hot metal blowing open his skull. Flesh, brain matter, even teeth were sent flying through the air.
There are a lot of insane parts of the Ksoo trial, but one of the craziest things is when the lawyer brought up what Ksoo told an op right before he pulled the trigger on Lil Buck. When Ksoo and Scotty saw Lil Buck park his whip and go into a building, they waited for him to come out. And while they were waiting, Ksoo FaceTimed one of Lil Buck's homies and told him, "We caught your boy slipping." Then a few minutes later, Ksoo hopped out and left Lil Buck's brains on the ground.
Using Instagram on his phone, he contacts Raekwon Howard. Raekwon Howard, who is affiliated with 6 Block. They're ops. Tells him, got one of your boys slipping. Let him know they're getting ready to take somebody out, but doesn't say who.
The defense team opened up by trying to make the witness sound sketchy.
You're gonna hear from Barbara Buckley, and I'll tell you up front, I think you'll like her. She's feisty. No one pulls anything over her eyes. And she's gonna walk in and she's gonna honestly talk to you about that morning.
Ksoo's homie Dominique Barner and his own dad Blue flipped on him, but the defense didn't want the jury to believe anything they said. Ksoo crashed out in public in front of a bunch of cameras, and he got caught running around with the gun he used to kill Lil Buck with. The defense tried to argue that Ksoo was way bigger than the dude on the cameras, but Ksoo had photos all over social media that prove he fit the description of the shooter. After Ksoo killed Lil Buck, he hopped in the whip with Scotty and Dominique Barner, and they took off with the cops right behind him. They ended up crashing the whip, and that's when Ksoo split off from them. He ran through some woods and ended up in another neighborhood, and that's when someone spotted him popping out of the woods and getting picked up by a woman while the police sirens were going off everywhere.
A car approaching us, right, coming the way we were sitting.
And what was significant about the car?
It was a lady driving, holding a cell phone. She looked lost, like she was looking for something.
Ksoo had called a woman named Natalie to come pick him up, and her testimony on the stand helped the prosecutors make their final decision. The defense tried to argue that Ksoo wasn't the dude who popped out of the woods, but Natalie confirmed that Ksoo came out of the woods, and that's when she picked him up.
Where did you have to go to pick him up?
Up Arlington Expressway and some apartments.
And how did you know where to go?
I believe Kareem said it, or I don't know if there was a thing on his phone with a map. That I cannot remember.
Natalie definitely didn't help Ksoo's case, but one of the biggest witnesses was his homie Dominique Barner. Dominique Barner helped Scotty break into a house and kidnap a woman after they crashed the whip, and he was facing some crazy charges. Even after he pleaded guilty and agreed to testify, Dominique Barner was still facing 20 years in prison. Dominique confirmed that ATK was a gang and that Ksoo and Scotty both repped the set.
Are you familiar with a local rap group called ATK?
Yes, sir.
Was Abdul Robinson Jr., Kareem, part of ATK?
Yes, sir.
What about Hakeem Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Leroy Whitaker?
Yes, sir.
Thorgon Williams?
Yes, sir.
Then Dominique testified about all the diss tracks and the real violence that was going on in the streets. According to Dominique, Lil Buck dropped a diss track on Ksoo's brother boss Goon, and that's why Ksoo wanted to take him out.
If you know, what does the lyric "smoking on Willie" mean?
You smoking on a dead person.
Is that a good thing?
What's a bad thing?
Was, Abdul Robinson Jr., Kareem, aware of this song?
Yes, sir.
What about Hakeem Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Leroy Whitaker?
Yes, sir.
Were they upset over that song?
Yes, sir.
Dominique Barner actually DM'd Lil Buck after the track dropped and told him to stop dissing. And then Dominique looked up Lil Buck's address and found out what kind of whip he was driving. Dominique, Ksoo, and Scotty pulled up to the apartment building where Lil Buck lived. But the reason they didn't kill him immediately is because Lil Buck went on vacation and wasn't in the city.
Once you found out where Charles McCormick lived in December of 2019, why wasn't he killed right away?
Because he took a vacation.
Charles took a vacation?
Yeah.
They found out that Lil Buck was back from vacation, and that's when Dominique, Ksoo, and Scotty went sliding again. They drove to Lil Buck's crib and waited for hours till he came outside. Then they followed him when he drove off. When Lil Buck got to the shopping mall and went inside a building, Ksoo, Scotty, and Dominique sat in the whip and waited. Dominique confirmed that's when Ksoo FaceTimed one of their ops and let them know they caught one of their homies lacking. Then Ksoo popped out and ran Lil Buck down.
What happened after Hakeem jumped out of the Nissan?
Shot at him.
Shot at who?
After they crashed their whip and took off running, Dominique and Scotty broke into a woman's house and started looking for different clothes they could change into and wait for the situation to cool down. They didn't know a woman was inside the crib though, and when she came in and told them they had to leave, Dominique and Scotty choked her and held her hostage so she couldn't scream for help. Then Scotty made some calls, and Ksoo's dad Blue is the one who came through and picked him up. One of the craziest parts of the whole story is that Ksoo's dad Blue ended up flipping on his son and taking a stand against him. Blue is facing charges in some other cases, but he thought testifying against Ksoo would help him get less time. The prosecutors are trying to prove that the Lil Buck hit was give back for Ksoo's brother Boss Goon, and that Ksoo's dad Blue was there when Boss Goon got killed. Blue was driving the whip when some shooters rolled up and aired it out, and Blue testified about holding Boss Goon's hand while he died in the car.
As I was driving, I could hear Willie making this guggling noise, and I hold his hand while I was driving, because I didn't want him to die, feel like he died alone.
Blue's other son, Abdul Robinson Jr., was also in the car when his brother Boss Goon got killed. He's also facing a murder charge for Lil Buck, but his trial is going to be separate, and Blue's probably going to testify in that case too. Blue testified that Lil Buck was affiliated with 6 Block and had beef with Ksoo and everyone else in ATK. After Blue picked up Scotty and Dominique Barner from the house they broke into, he drove them behind Burger King so they could burn the clothes they wore on the hit. Dominique and Scotty told Blue what happened, and he decided to help him out a little bit so they could get away with it. But after Blue got booked and was facing charges, he flipped completely and admitted in court that Ksoo was the one who pulled the trigger on Lil Buck.
Who is the person that was captured on the video recording shooting Charles McCormick?
My son.
What's your son's name?
Hakeem.
Testifying against your own son is wild, but this wasn't the first time Blue snitched in court. Back in the 90s, he cooperated with the feds against the cop, and then he started working as a confidential informant for the cops. Blue was also wrapped up in another case, but since he decided to plead guilty for accessory after the fact and flip on Ksoo, he's only facing 20 years in prison instead of life. The prosecutors had witnesses, snitches, and DNA evidence to prove Ksoo was guilty, but Ksoo also self-snitched like crazy after he killed Lil Buck. Ksoo is also facing murder charges for killing Foolio's homie Lil Bibby, and right now, his reaction to finding out he got charged for that is going viral all over the place.
You do have a warrant for your arrest.
We have a warrant for your arrest for murder today.
What?
Yes.
For what?
You want your lawyer, so I can't tell you no more, but you'll be in trouble.
What the hell?
Ksoo self-snitched about Bibby constantly until he got booked for the Lil Buck murder, but a lot of people didn't even know he self-snitched about Lil Buck too. Ksoo even dropped the track Bang It Out and showed off the gun he used to kill Lil Buck and posted photos with the same strap. After the Lil Buck hit went down, Ksoo went to get a pedicure and made a post where he said, "Kill a nigga, then get my toes done." And one of the most viral parts of the trial was when the lawyers quoted the post.
Kill a nigga, then go get my toes done. Then go get my toes done. Those are his words that he attached to a video.
When the trial was over, everyone knew that Ksoo and Scotty were cooked. The defense didn't really have anything to fight back against all the evidence, so Ksoo and Scotty both went down for murder, and Ksoo's reaction is blowing up on social media. Then after it was all over, Ksoo posted a story on IG and tried to say that the jury was against him because they were all white, and so was the judge. Ksoo crashed out and got flipped on by everybody, and there was almost no way he was going to beat the trial. The cops had DNA, videos, witnesses, and Ksoo's own self-snitching to use against him, and now he's facing life in prison. And what makes the situation even worse is that Ksoo is still gonna have to fight the Lil Bibby case. So even if he appealed the Lil Buck conviction and won, there's a good chance he's gonna catch another life sentence for allegedly killing Lil Bibby. Ksoo self-snitched a lot about Lil Buck, but it was nothing compared to what he did after he allegedly killed Lil Bibby. Ksoo gets a sentence handed down for the Lil Buck case in September 2025, and after that, he's got a whole new murder trial to worry about.